In 2018, one of the rage of the Transformers line in general, main line, was the Studio Series, which denoted redos of many of the movie figures from the Bayverse era. And that started in about 2018, and a lot of people who love Bayverse went ham on it. But in 2021, in the Studio Series, we got the new 86. I don't know if it's a subline, because technically they are packed together, but we're only going to talk about the figures and speculative figures and some figures we want to see in the Studio Series 86 line. So this is basically talking about Studio Series 86. If I had to do every Studio Series figure, this would be a long video, but the 86 is, here and there within the years of the line. So starting in 2021, the first figure to be released in the line, Wave 11, was Deluxe Jazz. And we're going to show off more of the figures and we're going to talk about it. This is the checklist for the Studio Series 86 figures. This is a video that I'm going to make because I do want to talk about some things of how Studio Series 86 is not a line where everything has to be Studio Series-arized. It's interchangeable. It's just that we have to remember that the Studio Series 86 line generates a lot of buzzworthy. I get it, why we had the buzzworthy 86. And typically, Studio Series 86 figures sell. They sell pretty good, the nostalgia. So that's why they put it in that line. And starting with this one, regardless of any other figures that are out of order, we know for certain Studio Series 86 Deluxe Jazz was number 1. Now we're going to go through the rest. And starting with Cup. This is Deluxe Cup. He wasn't the best Cup. That's why we got another one. We'll talk about that later. Next is the Forever Derpy Blur. I'm not a big fan of this one, regardless of it being Studio Series 86. Does not resonate with me. Nah, actually one of my favorites. Not so much articulated, but it is one of my favorites, and we're going to keep going. Next is Hot Rod. Now we know this was in as a Voyager because we got a bunch of stupid weapons, but in my opinion, this is a deluxe. If you don't like it, deal with it. It's a deluxe. Okay, moving on. Now we have Scourge. And of course, we'll see him again as a sweep with the alternate blue colors. Of course, we got Grimlock, and everybody was happy with this Grimlock. I still think Grimlock and Slag are the best, and Snarl are the best so far. And then we got Wreck-Gar with the gun nipples. But still, we got a finally proper Wreck-Gar. Next was a sweep, which was the first recolor of Scourge, and a good one at that. I have this in the box unopened. Next, we got Slag. This is Slag, okay? Not any talking about anyone. I don't care. It's Slag. Moving on. We got the Core Class Ratchet. Don't pick up the Core Class Ratchets, but Hasbro might be onto something. Pay attention. Next, of course, we got the Core Class Wheelie. It's very tiny, but he does look like a wheelie. Next, we got Perceptor. And again, this is out of order, but we're going down the line. So that way you can check off what you have. There's Perceptor. Now, we got the RC, which is a mishmash of the generations as well as the Earthrise to give us the Studio Series. And this may be something that they may do with Springer and a few others. We'll get to that down the line of the video. Then the next one we have is Junkie. And, another good Junkion seen in the movie. And of course, we got Ironhide before he got blasted to bits and shot up. And of course, we'll talk about that later on in the video. And then, of course, we got Coronation Starscream, which was a brand new mold, believe it or not, because he had open and closing hands. So he did get new tools. Then we got I still think this is an inferior figure. Sludge is not the best of the Dinobots so far, but hey, we got him. Then, of course, we got the new cassette starting with Rumble, which is blue. And yeah, we got him. And then, of course, after that, we got Ratchet in the 86 line. We got the full size Voyager, which is technically deluxe. And then we got Snarl, which was like a improvement back to how they were starting to, design and engineer the Dinobots. And then we got, of course, Frenzy, or Rumble is Red, or Frenzy, whichever one you want to call him. And of course, we got the Core Class Ironhide, another one that is pretty cool. And then, of course, we got Ron. And like I said, he could have been in either line, but he just happened to be in Studio Series because he was in the movie. Now on to Ultra Magnus. This has started the whole, we need a Studio Series version. Well, let's be honest. We heard about this well a year before, back in 2022, that they were going to do this 22 to 23. Everybody complained, no, you shouldn't do it. But ask yourself, was Siege that great and Kingdom that great where you really had to go through hoops and hurdles to make the truck mode? It was just terrible. I mean, when you say terrible, we took them for what they were because we thought that was what we were going to get. But yes, the Studio Series version had to be made because it just wasn't Ultra Magnus. And especially for the 86 movie, none of those figures were really Ultra Magnus. And then, of course, we got Scrap Heap, which is another Junkion. And this is the first of 2024 for the Studio Series. 86, of course. Then, of course, we got, these are the BB ones. So this is BB86, which was a repaint of the Cup to give them the more a G1 look, which they did do a good job. Did the paint job. I dig this one. I really do. And then, of course, we got Cliff Jumper, which he was a hard to find figure. And this one was still a hard to find figure in the BB Bumblebee line. Then, of course, we got the Blown to Bits Ironhide, of course, which is in the Studio Series line. And then we got from Earthrise a banged up Prowl, which is still Earthrise mold, just now with the Studio Series 86, yada yada. Now on to Springer. Now this Springer was in Siege. There's a lot that's not great with this figure, mainly the transformation, the swords and the guns, and yes, the paint at that top roof part is painted over clear plastic and slides. I mean, it goes away quickly. Luckily, I bought a second one and I was able to clean it up. But if you touch that top part, that paint just comes right off. And it does need a few fixings here. Now, this is the one that a lot of people were speculating would come to Studio Series 86. Now, let's face it, Earthrise Prime is the MP10 of the so far main line. It's been done 5 to 6 times now, probably more than Siege. The original release was ugly with the two-tone legs, which Siege did not do. There were a few other things that I think Siege did better overall, even with hiding the wheels, where they kind of left them exposed. And the trailer was so trash. So yeah, Studio Series 86 Commander class, we're hoping that we get new tooling, and we're definitely going to get a much larger, substantial trailer than that piece of crap we got with this one. So yeah, it was just that time. It lived its usefulness, but we needed a new one. And then, of course, we definitely needed Megatron, because good grief, man. Siege Megatron was great, but that, again, it's the way that they captured Siege Megatron to create that toy was from one episode of Transformers, and I gotta find it. Other than that, every other episode of Transformers G1, Season 1 and Season 2, had the vented chest, like waist and chest and thing. So, yes, we need a new one because this just is not holding up. So, but we know we're going to get it. So, put your panties in a bunch. Next is Galvatron. Now, here's where I think they're probably going to do just some minor updates, very similar to what they did with RC. I don't know what they can fix, maybe the treads or something. I don't know. Give it the more movie aesthetic paint job. So, this is going to be Studio Series 86. You see how the paint is, where it has that kind of, where the battle damage is, that paint's kind of like a different shade. That's the shade that Galvatron should be. So I'm thinking we're probably going to get something in that line and maybe some few moderations here and there. We definitely know we're going to get Swoop, which, I mean, we're getting Swoop. It doesn't matter. Now, will he be Studio Series 86? I think to keep up with the Dinobots being in Studio Series and anything, well, not necessarily, but just made out of that line, I think that's where he's going to go. But remember, the Dinobots also show up in other lines too, denoting the different versions that they have. And we probably would get a red repaint that'll probably be a Selects. It probably won't be Studio. It's just, again, they're going to put it in lines that have the budget that they can use to make them. So it doesn't mean that Studio Series 86 is the all. It's not a masterpiece. It's just a line in main line. I want to stress that. Again, it's just a line in main line. And we're going through a designer war. Next is Soundwave. We know we're getting a Studio Series Soundwave because we are getting this same Soundwave in the kind of more of the comic book style where he's kind of purple. That's supposed to be coming in that new comic book line that has the Grimlock and the Shockwave. So They announced that there would be a purple one, and I think that one's going to come out first, kind of similar to what they did with Detritus before they released Hound. And probably in Studio Series 86 Leader Class, we're probably going to get the new Soundwave, and maybe we might get a new Ravage and Laserbeak, because Rumble in them has already been redesigned. And that's something that is coming. Trust me, it is coming. Next, and it might fall in Legacy too. I heard different stories. Next, we know, without a doubt, without a given, without a gimme, we are going to get Devastator. Also, each limb will be different classes, probably because they're probably going to do very similar to what they did with Menasor. And also, if you go by the original G1 releases, each of them came with a part for Devastator. Scrapper came with the wing, Mixmaster came with the gun, Bone Crush and Scavenger came with the arms, Long Haul came with the waist piece and that like I think it's like a waist piece I think he came with, and of course Hook came with the head. Now will they do that again? Possibly, but I also think they're gonna do where you have the faux limbs, you know, and everything like that. Gotta see how it's gonna play out. We got a long way to go to get to 2025, but you know the leaks are probably gonna come very soon. And then of course finally we have the canceled Bumblebee, Buzzworthy Bumblebee 86 Hound. This was supposed to be the deco for the Hound before we got the one we got now, where I think the wheels are green, and it could just be a mock-up. And I still don't know why Target refused this, but I would speculate Hound, I mean, it would have sold because of the necessity of having the G1 aesthetic for Hound, but maybe they thought it just wouldn't have been enough to purchase with. And I also think because they canceled the purchase of the figure, the reason why we're getting this in the 4-pack is because Hasbro lost money, because they probably projected them to buy a certain amount of these figures, because why not? It's G1 Hound, and you're the only store that has it. It's a gift under the Buzzworthy Bumblebee line, because Target canceled it because they can't sell toys either. So they was looking like, hey, this is later wave stuff. We're not going to accept it. Hasbro stuck this with the dummy, and now we're stuck paying $109 to try to get our hands on Hound. Now, figures that I think might get a treatment, or could get a treatment, should get a treatment, is the triple changes, because they were very prominent in the movie. The colors for Blitzwing are more or less G1. I would like to see them do a movie aesthetic where he gets the more lighter lavender, and the beige is lighter, and maybe resculpt that head. He still looks like Kumo D. I like Kumo D. I don't want Kumo D looking like Blitzwing. It is what it is. Next is Astro Train, and we got that awful jet mode with the exposed parts, and I think he also could use that G1 paint scheme from the movie where he's got more, because this is a cross between G1 white and probably partly the E-Hobby version that's supposed to be very G1 accurate. They kind of met in the middle. We need a more G1 accurate Astro Train, definitely. I doubt if we're going to get it, but we need it. Next, he's not in Studio Series line. He's in Kingdom. And he also showed up as a Selects Cyclonus. Now, this is a very good figure, but the legs, yeah, the legs could use a little tooling. I mean, it even carried over to Metal Hawk. It still needs, I think it does need a little bit more, a different retooling. But that's just a speculative opinion. We have heard nothing about that. And then the last figure I think a lot of people wanted to see in the Studio Series line was Rodimus Prime. But I'm going to tell y'all something about Rodimus Prime. Commander Class Rodimus Prime is pretty dope. I think the trailer, everything about Studio Series, except they didn't paint the rims. I had to paint my rims, and I had to go through a hoops and hurdles, but I finally got it the way I wanted to look. Painting the rim silver makes this toy pop. Especially the faux wheels on the arms. If you paint it, it's so cool. Rodimus has a lot of tooling, man, and things fold up nicely, a lot better than Hot Rod. I still get the feels every time I pick up this character, play with this figure, because I have to admit it does look good. But can it use some retooling? No. Can it use anything else? No. I mean, I just don't see this being done any way. Maybe a package refresh, but just to do it again to appease some people who don't like minor nitpicks, I don't see them doing that. I just don't see them doing that. I just don't. With especially what we know is coming down the pike. I mean, it could happen, but for this character, I seriously doubt it. So we have to understand that any one of these figures can pop up in Studio Series 86 and there's not going to really be any retooling. It could just be a different paint job, and then bam, Studio Series 86. This I don't see them doing again with another paint job. I mean, he's not exactly perfect. In the movie, he only showed up in one scene, so I think it's better that they kept him on the Kingdom, because that's where you see most of season 3. Rodimus Prime is in season 3. You don't, in the movies, literally at the end. I don't see them doing a Studio Series 86. What are your thoughts? So as we get more information as it comes down the pike, of course, I will always report it here. But the most thing I want to tell everybody is to just keep your eyes open. That's all I can tell you. Studio Series 86 is about to get even better. But this is Super Robot Ed, bringing you more news and reviews. Until then, we'll see you soon. Bye-bye. And I hope everybody really likes this video, because I want to do more like this more than I want to do reviews. Peace.